Okay, we're going to be looking at the Lubanko Tarot today. This is the mass market edition, and it was originally an independent deck. It hadn't come across my awareness when it was released. I think it was a Kickstarter. I'm not totally sure, but it was independent, and yeah, it's been released now as a mass market. And this is not normally my style of deck at all, but I saw it on someone else's page and I saw one of the lovers cards. There's 3 in this deck. And I just felt like I had to have it. So it is a Llewellyn deck. Llewellyn, and it's in this like magnetic closure box, which fits exactly the size of the guidebook. And then we've got some constellation and writing in and I love this. The theme of this deck is totally up my alley. It's just the art that isn't, normally my kind of thing. But so it says, without darkness, we have no shadows to define the light. And without light, the darkness may seem unending, and without boundary. That kind of a theme, totally my thing, and actually really super incredibly relevant to my life right now and my own like spiritual and psychological and emotional journey right now. So yeah. So, and it's Divining Light and Shadow is the name of the guidebook, and it is by Lubanko, it's like a self-titled tarot deck, and I don't know anything about this creator. There's a little bit of information about the creator. Obviously super talented, but I don't know if it's their first tarot deck or not. Anyway, it is it's a substantial guidebook, and you get full page color illustrations of the cards. And I haven't looked at the guide. Oh, I did. I read 1 or 2 cards. So you get an introduction, how to use this deck, the major arcana, then the minor. Wait a minute here. What's that? Why does it have it like that? Now I have to look. What do they mean? The minor arcana. Oh, there's some discussion, I guess. I was wondering why the actual suits didn't start till well after, but I guess there's a discussion about the minor arcana. And then it gets into the suits. And what else? What else? See, just one little thing about the author there. Just a teeny little blurb. Emily Lubanko. Yeah, and then I guess there's an afterword, and that's the extent of the guidebook. So I'll put that to the side for now. And so this is interesting. I don't know. So they give you this, I've never had one of these given to me, this cute little card holder. And then there's a couple just sort of, what do you call these? Just cards with extra information on them. And so here's the creator, talks about her there. And then there's the backing, which is beautiful, actually. Out of all the art, I love that. Okay, and then, yeah, and then they give you a 20% off on your next Llewellyn order. I really want this deck, the Darkwood. Maybe I should use it to get this. But I'm in Canada, so I don't know. I don't know if I can actually order directly from Llewellyn without incurring a bunch of extra costs, but any Canadians know, have you ever ordered directly from Llewellyn? Anyway, I've always wanted this deck, but again, the coloring, I'm not a big fan of red, I've learned, in tarot. In fashion, that's another thing, but I've noticed that with this deck here. Unless it's actual blood, then I'm okay with it, but otherwise red puts me off, and I don't know why entirely. But let's get into the deck. So here's the biggest issue, and I saw this with the reviews on Amazon, lots of complaints about the cardstock, and I was like, how bad can it be? It wasn't talking about sticky cards. So that's the biggest thing that puts me off with tarot. Hang on, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. So that's the biggest thing that puts me off. So I was like, you know what? I want the deck. I'm going to order it and just see. But This is the thinnest cardstock I've ever felt or seen in a tarot deck before, or oracle deck. It's really thin. It feels like paper pretty much, like thick paper. Really, really thin kind of cardboard. I don't know. It's not great, you guys. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. It's not great. But let's look at the backs. I like the backs. It's reversible image. I'm just looking at the backs more. Yeah, it's like, reminds me of like ink blot for some reason. Anyway, I'm digging the back. And then, so I did just a walkthrough. I haven't worked with this deck yet. Look, you can already see some chipping. So it's edged in black, which is nice, but I can already see chipping just from like, I didn't even shuffle. All I did was look through the cards once. So, okay, anyway, so it will be in order, but it's going to start with the suits and then it'll end up in the major arcana. So it'll just be in the opposite order that it came because I did look through it once. And funny enough, this red is not putting me off. I don't know. Maybe it's just little, I think I like softer, probably overall more feminine feeling decks. Although I like edgy. I'm a fan of edgy, but it's like, I like melancholy kind of vibes when I'm looking for an edgy deck. And, but you know what, why I wanted this deck is because I actually really feel like I could use something in my collection and in my life right now that's a little more provocative, that provokes me in ways that are good for me. And I thought that this deck might do that. And it might still. I haven't worked with it yet. I don't know. I wasn't sure how I felt after looking through it the first time. But with all of that said, let me start the walkthrough here. So we've got the King of Wands. Do I need to zoom in a little more? Maybe I can do that after. I'm going to leave it as is. And when I review it, if it looks like it needs to get zoomed in, I'll do that. So yeah, we're starting off with the wand suits here. And just, I mean, if you're into tarot, you should be prepared for this. But some of the imagery is a little more, might take some of you back a little bit. So just a warning about that. Yeah, so we're starting off with the wands. There's no direct color theme with I mean, there's lots of red we're seeing. But look, there's a card with no red. Yeah, so there's no color scheme per suit, I guess. So this is just the second time I'm looking through this deck. So I'm taking it in with you. Eight of Wands. And I'm going to be, see like this image here, I don't know, the coloring, this lime green, bright lime green. Yeah, that's, but maybe I need to be put off a little bit, maybe it'll be good for me. And then, so we will pull a card at the end for the collective and to give you a taste of the guidebook. I mean, you could see how, I mean, I've seen like the Five of Wands there. Some of it is following like, traditional Rider-Waite imagery, and even the Six of Wands too. And some of it, not so much, but that's okay. I never care about that. I just like to pay attention to that. Okay, so now we're getting into swords. It feels kind of, and I don't know this creator's background in any way. It feels kind of Japanese-y to me. And that's usually not my favorite either. Like that, just the style of art. I mean, sometimes, but generally I'm not super drawn to it. It's not going to be my first pick. I like fairy tale, that things that feel like magic, But not always. Like I said, there's a part of me that really likes edgy stuff too, and you can see that in my collection as well, but yeah. Five of Swords. Interesting. The swords are in their back. Maybe they're walking away after the battle rather than getting hit in the back. I don't know. I mean, you know what I mean? From behind. Yeah, that's a very traditional 3 of Swords. 2 of Swords too. Yeah. So it is fun. And I think the couple cards that I did read, so now we're getting into Pentacles. I think the couple cards I did read were, I think that it followed the Rider-Waite-Smith meaning more than I was expecting, given I think I only read 2 yesterday. I just got this deck yesterday, but I was expecting it to sort of push. I wasn't expecting traditional meanings. I was like I said, I was expecting this to maybe provoke me. And when I was reading the meanings of the cards, honestly, I wasn't really getting that just from the guidebook, but maybe I don't need to work with the guidebook that much. Maybe this is more about what the card, the art and imagery will invoke in me. And I might be wrong. Like I said, I've only read 2, so I need to keep learning and exploring the guidebook and the deck in general. But I'm hoping that it's gonna end up being this provocative kind of thing that I'm looking for. It's the energy of the deck, right? I'm very, I'm a Gemini rising. I'm very mental. I intellectualize things even when I'm trying to be spiritual. So I like to read the guide. I'm a person that likes to read the guidebooks at least once, and consider them in the meaning that I'm interpreting. So we're in Cups now, if you didn't notice. Very blue so far. And the only extra cards I think are that I've noticed. This is, oh yeah, here's the deck cover, the 7 of Cups. I do like this one. The only extra cards I've noticed so far in the deck are the Lovers cards. There's 3 Lovers cards. And we will get to those not too long. The Strength card was really interesting. I remember 2 in this deck. It's an interesting Ace of Cups too, actually. Okay, now we're getting into the major arcana. There's the World. Judgment. Yeah, the major arcana are interesting. The Sun. The Moon. The Star. This is my card right now. I'm always looking at the star cards in any new decks I'm getting to make sure I like them. I'm not sure how I feel about this one. It's one of the ones I read yesterday. This one reminds me of the Transformers for some reason. It's the Tower card. Here's the Devil card. Temperance. Death. The Hanged Man. Justice. Wheel of Fortune. I like the Hermit one. I have to say that. I do really like the Hermit. Here's the Strength one that I felt was, it's got this, and I did read the book on this one. It's talking about the tamed and the tamer, which is an interesting way to consider the Strength card, but I feel like totally fits. So I like that one, both the card and the guidebook for that one. There's the Chariot. Okay, so here's the first of the Lovers. In the guidebook, I think they said something about, because I did read a little bit on this one, on the Lovers, and so I guess I read more than I thought. Anyway, they said that, here, I'll just put that one there. Here's the second one, and I'll show you the third one in a second. So you can see the 2 Lovers there. I think the author was talking about, and I think the creator is the author and artist in this deck, if I'm not mistaken, pretty sure. And so the write-up was saying, talking about making the Lovers cards gender neutral. I'm not sure. I feel like there's 3 cards, and to me they look like 2 same-sex Lovers cards and then 1 like hetero, Lovers cards, which is this one. Like, this one to me seemed obvious that it was a man and a woman, but maybe other people would find it more like sex ambiguous, gender ambiguous. But so there's the one, and then there's this one. To me, looks like two women. This one looks like a fairy to me, actually. And then we've got the ones that I'm perceiving as to be two male. They look like males to me anyway. This is the one that I found very provocative, like in the sense of being provoking in a good way. This is actually the card that made me, like, I don't know, make a snap decision that I needed the deck. So I think I'll keep this Lover's card. I think I'll rotate through the Lover's cards. I don't think I'm going to keep all three in the deck because I just don't want there to be that many chances of me pulling a Lover's card. I don't feel like that's right for me right now in my practice. I feel like I just want one Lover's card in there. I think I'm gonna keep this one at first, and then as time goes on, I'll play around with swapping them out. Here's the Hierophant. You know what? The more I look at, even though the coloring, definitely not my thing, but the more I look at this Hierophant, the more I like it. It's got that high level spirituality kind of vibe coming from it that, you know, that I feel like should be associated with the Hierophant. There's the Emperor, the Empress, High Priestess, the Magician, and the Fool. There it is, the Lubanko Mass Market. So I haven't shuffled yet. I'm scared to rifle shuffle. Oh my. But I'm gonna, at least once. Okay, we're gonna pull a card for the collective. Okay, well, I'm not surprised that it rifle shuffles well because of the card stock. It's not, you know, it's not sticky, at least. I'm gonna shuffle the rest behind camera here. I think that'll be my only rifle shuffle for right now. Okay, we're just gonna shuffle for a minute and we'll pull a card for the collective, and then we will read from the guidebook. So I'm, yeah, just curious who else has this deck, either the independent or the mass market or both. Would love to hear other people's thoughts and feelings. I would really love to hear from people who have worked with it a while and like how it's fitting into their practice. And I know it'll be all super individual, how it will fit into each of our practices, but just curious to hear other people's experiences. Okay, we're going to pull a card now. What is the message for the collective right now? Let's get a collective message. And so the way that I shuffle and pull cards, I like jumpers. I'm trying to figure out another way to pull cards. Here we go. But we got the Wheel of Fortune. And at the bottom we have the King of Cups. So here's the Wheel of Fortune. Well, it's so interesting. It's like animals without a head, like, but some of them have a face, and yeah. I mean, for my first thought when I looked at this, like these were antelope or something, but like antelopes from another dimension. I don't know. Let's read. Let's see. Here, I'll just zoom in for this one. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. Okay. Let's read from the Wheel of Fortune, from the guidebook, rather. Okay, so it says, again, you can see it's full color, and then it's got like a little description, then a divinatory meaning, and then a reverse meaning. And that's the extent of the discussion on the card. So here it says, on a carousel of flickering dreams and nightmares, and all in between, figures flash in and out of forms we recognize, hooves to the ground, then suddenly airborne, then upended, then grounded in the cycle anew. So here's the meaning. The Wheel of Fortune reminds us of the ever rising and falling of rhythms of time. We climb to the summit and we must eventually descend. At higher speeds, we fly high and may crash if we are not careful. The Wheel of Fortune urges us to remember the transient nature of all things. Nothing is forever, and we must take that into account with our planning. We may mourn happiness's tendency to stay for such short times, but it is all the more reason to savor those moments. Learn to acknowledge the down times with the up. Though the buffering may be exhausting, in time you will get used to the rhythms. Life rarely lets us get too comfortable. Even in stasis, there is often a discomfort, a waiting, or a hoping for the shoe to drop. If we acknowledge and plan for it calmly without letting it freeze us, we become stronger. If you try to fight the bucking horse, you'll get thrown off. Learn to ride through its temperamental movements, and you might just stay in the saddle. And then the reverse meaning. Reversed, we feel wearied and beaten by the wheel's ups and downs. We feel as if we can barely hold on or cannot anticipate its turning and careening. Sometimes it's being flummoxed. I think that's the first time I've heard that word. Flummoxed by change. Inability to roll with the punches, inability to see patterns, or often looking for patterns where there are none and feeling disappointed when none are revealed. Yeah, so that does feel in line. It's not straying too much from the Rider-Waite-Smith meanings. I really appreciated the reverse discussion there, actually. Yeah, that one, I don't know. I think it made me think a little differently than I usually think of the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. Just more about feeling beat up and resistance to, the things we cannot control. Okay, so there you have it. The Lubanko Tarot would love to hear your thoughts, and see you next time.